G'day. It's time to down your unders. Review and dissection of content from some of the sharpest minds in the game. Hosted by Adam Camilleri. Art of War. Down Under.
G'day, lovely humans, and welcome to a crusading, beautiful, wonderful episode with one of my favorite people and one of my favorite freaking factions, because it's time to review the Black Templars Codex supplement. To that end, I'm joined by Jack Templar himself, Jack Harpster. Hello, mate.
Hello, how you doing, Adam?
So good. So ready to go off crusading once again. Talk about this new version of Black Templars. A codex very close to both of our hearts, and hence I have reeled you into this one. How do you feel about it?
I think there's a lot of stuff in here to be happy about. I think not all of the rules are well written, but you don't have to take those units or those detachments. And I think there's a lot of stuff in this codex to be very happy with and that do very interesting and unique things. And I think we're well set up to go forward. But that's kind of codexes generally. I'm very excited for this one. I'm very much looking forward to putting it on the table.
So I'm a little bit more on the pessimistic side than Jack, but we'll talk more about that as we go through it. I'm a little worried that Templars have lost their identity. It's more of where I'm at with this codex, because I'm of this opinion that between how powerful, like the absolute raw melee power of Blood Angels, and now the seemingly relatively well-rounded Space Wolves, with including having units of 20 guys, which used to be our thing, and Headhunters, which essentially is like Super Blade Guard, like Sword Bros, which was our thing. I'm worried for their identity moving forward and wondering what they're going to be doing that's going to make them unique and spicy. But this is going to be a two-part podcast, of course. First part you can get right here, right now. It's going to be coming out the week of pre-order or the week after. Don't know if I'm going to be doing Grey Knights or Templars first in that reign, but I'm going to be overseas at the time. I'm just going to be uploading these guys, putting them on a schedule and forgetting about it. But come over and join us on part 2 over at Patreon, and this episode should almost definitely be out by then too. And Jack and I are going to be writing lists and going deep into the mire on our first press best places to start with this codex. But without further ado, because I do want to get these guys piped out, we are starting this review on page 53, and there is one big fat omission here that causes me sleepless nights. Jack, what is missing from this page of army rules?
Page 53, you don't get oath. I'll tell you that.
Wow, they did it. We have the first Space Marine chapter that doesn't get oath. That isn't Grey Knights.
I do think that's super cool, just for the record, because I think that is a sizable percentage of like an identity, is the Black Templars don't have time for the Codex Astartes.
No,
so
yeah,
they
correct.
have their own thing, right? It's not that you don't have an army rule, you do get one. It's the Templar vows, right? So you have your own way of doing things, and I think it would have been cool, honestly, if they'd done that for all of the Space Marine chapters, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Right? They did it for us.
Yeah, well, I always thought there was, if they were if Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, every other one of the non-Codex compliant chapters, so to speak, has got Oath of the Moment, I would have assumed they'd be going through with all of them. But then here, at pretty much the last one of the non-Codex compliant chapters to get released, they're like, let's spice it up a bit. So no Oath of the Moment. So what they have instead is called Templar vows, and this is a set of 4 rules which you pick at the start of the battle. And I'll read it out as it sits. If your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, at the start of the first battle round, select one of the following vows to be active for Adeptus Astartes units from your army. While a vow is active for units from your army, they have the associated abilities shown below. Hit us with the first 2, my man.
Okay, so Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch. Each time this unit declares a charge, if one or more targets of the charge have the Psyker keyword, you can reroll the charge roll, and melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the precision ability while targeting Psyker units. There is a trend in the vows here, which is that 3 of them are very bad, and 1 of them is very good, and this one is useless.
Yes, even against T-Suns, this next one trumps them in every way, shape, and form for just killing things more better. And, why do you need precision if they're all dead?
Exactly. Precision in combat is generally not that useful. It'll occasionally come up when you want to epic challenge something, and you don't really need more than that. Uh,
Correct.
so, and then also re-rolling charge rolls. There's a detachment that rerolls charges straight up.
hmm
B, that's not a huge deal. Re-rolling charge is not a big deal. You're not
It's not
going
a buy-in.
to, yeah, you're never going to pick up Ward the Witch, Destroy the Witch, not even into Psychic armies.
Nope.
All right, the next one is accept any challenge no matter the odds. And you should be hearing like a chorus of angels singing right now because
Correct.
this is pretty baller.
This is our savior.
Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if the strength characteristic of the attack is less than or equal to the toughness characteristic of the target, add 1 to the wound roll. So, yeah, as bad as the previous one was, this one is the opposite of that. This is very strong.
Essentially, if you take strength 5 weapons, this is wound on 4's perma. This is anti everything 4+.
Exactly.
This is freaking amazing.
If they are toughness 5, you wound them on 3s.
Exactly right. You still get +1 if equal, and that's the big buy-in for me. The fact that you get both is, and the fact that you dodge people's, you are getting pseudo +2 to wound, because a lot of the other times when people have -1 to wound, if strength is higher than toughness, you're slapping it the other way. I think this is stupendous and overshadows. I would take this over any 2, possibly all 3 of the others combined.
Yeah, I would take this over the other 3 combined, for sure. This one is very good. It's a damage buff, right? It's a damage buff that applies to your whole army. Oath is a damage buff that applies on 1 enemy unit. If you build your army correctly, this is going to be better than Oaths. If you build your army to take advantage of Oaths, Oaths will be better than this. So, like, if you build your army in a specific way, then this is better than Oaths. We have gotten an upgrade. And I think it's very good to think of it that way.
All right, the next 2, suffer not the unclean to live. This unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back, and each time model in this unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it does not need to end that move closer to the closest enemy model, provided it moved as close as possible to the closest enemy unit. A very minutia buff here. And a minutia option, which can't be in all honesty, I can tell you of a bunch of games that I've played where I could tell you like 50, 60, 100 games of 40k that I've played in this edition where this rule would not come up. As in piling closer towards the closest enemy unit rather than model.
That is very rarely relevant. It's
so
only
niche.
Ever really relevant if it was 6-inch pile and consolidating, even then not super relevant.
Correct.
Mostly it's the first line of text to fall back and declare a charge, which is just not as good as +1 to wound.
Agreed. And then lastly, uphold the honor of the Emperor. If this unit has the infantry keyword, so the first of these ones that is pigeonholed, at the end of your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, the objective marker remains under your control. Sticky objectives, army wide on your infantry. Not bad. And then the next dot point, because there is 2, if the mission you are playing features actions, this unit is eligible to declare an action in a turn in which it advances. So you can advance and do actions. Now, this one in my mind is the second best, but it is a faint second to hit everything in the world so much harder. That is accept any challenge no matter the odds. Do you see it the same as me?
I think that it's definitely not the first. I could see an argument that fallback and charge is better, but I'm honestly not. It doesn't really matter because they're very clearly just not the same as +1 to wound.
Correct.
If the strength you're looking at is very, very much what you said, which is you're looking for that strength 4, but also 5 and 6. Strength 4, 5, 6 are going to be the strengths you're going to look at, because if you're strength 6, you will actually wound the game on 4s, basically.
On 4s, correct.
If you're strength 5, you will wound almost the entire game on 4s, and you'll wound, toughness 5 on 3s, and strength 4 wounds everything that isn't a vehicle on 4s.
And in addition, having +1 to wound army-wide essentially means that you can ditch the need to fight for having strength breakpoints in your army as much and hunt for AP and damage breakpoints much more freely.
Or rerolls.
Exactly right. Or rerolls, because you are so good on the strength. You are so good on the wound roll. It's kind of insane that your army can just be like, if you build it correctly, like was said, your army can just be anti-game 4+. At a minimum. At worst, you are anti-game 4+. Which is crazy powerful. All right. Tell us.
It's a very good ability, and I think for Black Templars, it's a better ability than the Oath we lost, so I'm super happy with it.
Yep, I think it's fair. I think it's totally fair. I was very concerned when I saw there was no oath. When I practiced open, I was like, "Oh, gut check! Oh my god, have they killed us?" But I think it is pretty a-okay. All right, heirs of Sigismund, give us the TLDR here, mate.
Okay, so if an Adeptus Astartes unit has a second faction keyword, that faction keyword is the name of its chapter. So if they say Black Templars on their datasheet, that is their chapter. If Yeah, so High Marshal Helbrecht has a Adeptus Astartes and Black Templars, therefore he is from the Black Templars chapter. You cannot include units from more than one chapter in your army, so no taking Vulcan in Black Templars. If your army includes one or more units from the Black Templars chapter, or you're using one of the detachments in this army, you lose Oath of Moment on all of your units and it's replaced with Templar vows, and also mostly just accept any challenge no matter the odds. You can't use the first company task force detachment.
Oh my
Oh my
god,
God.
they've
Oh no.
ruined it.
They
Oh
killed it.
jeez.
You can't use the worst detachment in the book. Okay, noted. Got that.
Well, we're gonna have a moment of silence. No, we're not. Move on.
Yes, you can still use the Gladius and the Stormlance, notably, which you will be doing. Mostly the Gladius, I think. But your army cannot include any Adeptus Astartes Psyker models. Fair. No librarians for you.
Good.
Sorry.
Good.
And your army cannot include the following data sheets from Space Marines: the Gladiator Lancer, Reaper, Valiant, the Impulsor, the Land Raider Crusader, the Repulsor Executioner, Sternguard Veteran Squad, and Terminator Squad. Now, they don't say here, but the reason for that is because later on in the book, we're going to have our own version of those data sheets.
Yeah, exactly
And
right.
so we're not missing anything, right? If it's in Codex Space Marines, you can either run it or you can run a Black Templar version of it. We're not missing any data sheets except for librarians.
Correct. In fact, got a bunch added, like many others would, and some would say our versions of the things are more better. So I'm here for it. I think it's good.
Absolutely.
First of the four detachments, we'll say.
Three detachments.
Companions of Vehemence is first up. Try and say that 20 times fast. But Righteous Fever is the army rule. You can re-roll advance and charge rolls made for Adeptus Astartes units from your army. And of course, can include Black Templars units. Your army can include Black Templars units, but cannot include Adeptus Astartes units drawn for any chapter. You'll see that on all of them. How do you feel about re-roll advances and charge rolls made for your entire freaking army, which completely invalidates, the anti-psycho one?
Yeah, again, so you're taking this, you're not taking the anti-psyker one, which you weren't doing anyway. I have played with a lot of Black Templars who have the rule of reroll advances and charges, and traditionally reroll an advance for a unit or reroll charges for a unit is not particularly strong. But having it army-wide is actually very, very nice, much better than I thought it was when I played Black Templars, having that as their chapter tactic back in 9th edition. It was very good back then. It's going to be pretty solid now. It's just going to be nice, easy. You never have to save CP to reroll your charges. You never have to worry about that. You're just going to always, have the highest percent chance of making your charges. You get to reroll your advances. That's a big one. Rarely will you reroll an advance for a CP. It's not usually worth it unless you need like a 3 to do a specific thing.
To get a 5 area denial over a no area denial, etc., etc. Like you need a 3 to get 5 points, but you just rolled a 1, which gets you no points. Well, it'd probably be a 4 to get you 3 points. But you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So having it army-wide means that you will just get higher than normal advances all the time. Like you can think of this as on average, you get +1 to advance, which is not bad, right?
Yep.
And it's a nice thing to have. Like I've played plenty of Black Templar games where I've rolled 3 1s for advances and re-rolled them into like a 4, 5, 6. And just like my army got way further up board than otherwise. It's not a power increase, right? You're not getting any damage buffs or anything like that increases the raw numbers of your army, but it's still nice to have. The rest of the detachment had better make up for the lack of like raw number power out of the rerolls.
Agreed. I will let you guys know that this is the detachment that is predicated on mostly chaplains and duties, with some new additions to that fare specific to Black Templars. So I'm going to run through all 4 of the enhancements, and Jack's going to give us his TLDR and put them in order of priority for purchase. First up is Incendiary Animus. This is the chaplain or duty model only. Improve the AP characteristic of the melee weapons equipped by models in the bearer's freaking unit. I was about to say equipped by the bearer, but I remember this one by the bearer's unit by 1.
Yes.
Then we have Oathbound Exemplar. Infantry model only. Add 1 to the advanced rolls made for the bearer's unit. If the mission pack you are playing features actions, the bearer's unit is eligible to perform an action in a turn in which it advanced. Not bad. Merciless Denunication, chaplain or duty model only. Each time model in the bearer's unit makes a melee attack, you can reroll their hit roll. So 4 rerolls to hit on your unit. And then lastly is a Zealous Vanguard Scout 6 on models in the bearer's unit. My God, 3 of these things are not like the other. One of these things stands out as far, far worse. What is your order of priority here, my dude?
It's a little tough to exactly order them. They're very good, right? The reroll hits, the +1 AP, and the Scout 6 are all very good. If you don't have enough transports for all your melee units, the Scout 6 one is the first one you pick. You get one, you get it up into a place of the board where it's not, stranded in your backfield or getting shot. So if you have transports for everything, you probably just take reroll hits, and then after that, probably +1 AP. If you have a unit that relies heavily on AP1 attacks, you need the +1 AP for it. So if you're taking a bunch of chain swords, you can actually make that pretty good. But otherwise, the reroll hits is probably the best one, followed by the increased AP. And if you have transports for everyone, the Scout one is not essential. If you do not have transports for everyone, the Scout one is the first one you take.
Correct.
And then after that's probably reroll hits. And then after that's probably +1 AP.
Yep. Totally agree, dude. But yeah, 3 very high quality enhancements here, just depending on what your build is. But so far, so good. Let's jump into the first of the stratagems, mate. Devout Push is back. It's 1 CP, happens in the fight phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. To the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, you can move up to 6 instead of 3. A unit cannot be targeted with this N Hearts Hardened to Duty stratagem in the same phase unless it has a chaplain or duty keyword. How do you feel about the old Devi push?
Well, it's definitely not the old devout push at all. Unfortunately, it's just a 6-inch pile and consolidate, and that is fairly niche as far as things go. We're not quite at the point where every stratagem is going to say that you require a chaplain or judiciary unit, but there's going to be several coming up that do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be heavily based around whatever units get those characters in them. This is fairly niche. Occasionally it'll come up, but I wouldn't really, bank on it. You can combine it with the next strat if you have a chaplain or duty, which also affects how it consolidates. That is Hearts Hardened to Duty. It's in the fight phase just before an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army consolidates. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a consolidation move, it does not need to end that model move closer to the closest enemy model or the closest enemy unit if the suffer not the unclean to live vow is active for it. So basically, you can do the thing where you pile into not the closest model, but yes, the closest unit. And if you took that already as a vow, you can go in any direction.
You can console however you please. And for 1 CP for 6 inches as well. So the combo's good, but the vow is bad.
The vow is trash.
The vow is trash. But I mean, for 2 CP, you too can do whatever you please when you pile in against it. No, just take the thing that kills them and you don't, whatever.
Yeah, so your analysis is okay, so if you take the +1 to win vow, you're just always good all the time at doing damage. Fantastic. With this, they clearly want to incentivize you to take the one where you pile in and consolidate weirdly. But if you take that, then it basically becomes fallback and charge, which is fine, I guess. And then under that, it says you may spend 2 CP in order to pile and consolidate backwards 6 inches.
Yes.
That's not bad.
No, it's not.
But I'm not going to pick that vow. So then I don't get the combo. So I essentially don't get the strats, right? Because this strat doesn't do actually anything unless you have that vow.
Well, and it doesn't do anything unless you've killed the unit. And if you don't have the +1 to wounds, there is a couple of units here that, just kind of will bounce or have the chance or propensity to bounce. So you might not get to the consolidation step where you can move away from an enemy. You might be in base to base, it might be stuck. And then you have 2 CP being wish I could do something cool with it, but I didn't take the +1 to wound. And now I just have to hold these 2 CP like a sad boy. And just go kill them, please.
Yeah, consolidating in a different direction is very
really
good
cool.
ability, and it's something other armies do have access to for 1 CP, and they don't require gutting your army rule. Here, it's 2 CP. It does require you to gut your army rule, And you're just not going to do that. So that means essentially, in my opinion, this detachment has like 4.5 strats.
Yeah. I was really worried that this detachment was a bundle of enhancements in a trench coat, and that's it. But there's some okay stuff here. Next one is for the Emperor's Honor for 1 CP in the fight phase. 1 Adeptus Status infantry unit from your army. Precision. Just precision in combat. Very nice. It's fine.
It's I don't know what they keep writing detachments for my armies that have this strat in it. The companion or the not companions of demons, that's this one. The whatever it's called, the silly name for the Grotmus detachment, the Black Templar one. It's like Wrathful Obsession. That's the one. That has this strat. 1 CP, your melee units get precision. Then there's also a Custodes detachment that has the exact same thing. It's the Grotmus detachment for Custodes. 1 CP, your melee weapons gain precision. It is a bad strat. You know how you can kill characters in an enemy unit with melee armies? By killing the unit.
Take good melee units in your melee army.
If this was just some kind of damage buff, right? +1 AP, get sustained hits, rerolls of some kind, then fantastic. But it's precision? That doesn't usually come up. It's a fairly bad stratagem, and now we're down to like the detachment has like 3.5 stratagems.
3 possible stratagems left.
Yeah.
Well, give us the next one. Let's hope there's some good stuff coming.
All right, we have Pious Enmity. In the fight phase, you pick a chaplain or Judy unit from your army, and until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes a melee attack that targets an enemy unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the target is a monster or vehicle unit, reroll the wound roll of 1 as well. This one is like passable. It's like a passable damage buff. It's not a good one.
Yeah, it is. I find it quite palatable because the loss of oath means that you're going to have far less rerolls on the hit roll, and then having a reroll on the wound roll. When if you've taken +1 to wound, a 4 it should be one of the worst things that could be happening on the wound roll. It's quite possible you're wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s army wide into some matchups. So I think this is one of the better strats. But like I said, it's still not like game changing. This strat doesn't set me on fire. It's just okay, cool, I guess.
You only reroll the 1s to wound against monsters and vehicles, and you're never going to be winning those things on 3s. So
that is true.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, there again, if you're comparing it to like other armies' offensive strats, let's compare it to a good offensive strat that Black Templars have access to in the Gladius, right? In the Gladius, you have 1 CP, Lance, and +1 AP. That is a very good offensive strat. And this is just like not even in the same ballpark.
Yeah. So
unfortunately.
I'm kind of the opinion that they think they've given us all the damage buffs they need in the enhancements. Which the only issue being that those things are strapped onto specific units and must always be strapped onto specific units. Like, cool, we have one, but we have +1 AP, but it's on that unit over there on the other side of the table. And I really need +1 AP here. I need rerolls here on the unit that has lethal or sus or whatever, but that's on that unit over there. And that's not with this one. So I'm worried that's what they thought they were doing with this. All right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's like just barely worth a CP sometimes, and so you'll still use it. But man, I just wish it was like reroll hits. 1 CP reroll hits. Done. Easy, right? A lot of our melee units even hit on 2s. So, you could have afforded to do that, and then you can take like things that also binding it to chaplains and judiciary units is a real feels bad. It's a real feels bad. I'd really like my jump pack intercessors to get some kind of buff.
Me too. I don't like my stratagems keyed off characters. What if I have a utility unit that really needs to get this freaking like 2 wound rhino dead so that I could eat the goo inside with my quality units? But I can't do that. All right, next up, Heresy begets Retribution for 1 CP. Your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move. 1 chaplain or duty unit from your army that is within 9 of that enemy unit and not within engagement range of 1 or more other enemy units. Unit can make a Retribution move. To do so, roll a d6. Models in your unit move another inches up to the result. So pretty much it's a fallback surge.
Yeah. So, well, it's not just when they fall back from you.
It's a reactive surge.
Reactive surge.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic stratagem. I'm not going to crap all over all of them. No. This one is amazing.
But we found a good one. Like we got there. The 5th one is actually a banger, like windmill slam. This one, in all honesty, should have been called Devout Push because it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that, to be honest with you. Now, am I a little bit sad that it requires the unit to be a chaplain or judiciary unit? Yes, I think they could have just given us a good strat without having to keyword it. But whatever. This strat is fantastic. I used this strat actually, and I consolidated into like two guys, wrapped them up, and then if he falls back, I just blood surge into him. Right.
Yep,
So he
correct.
couldn't actually shoot me, and it was a judiciary unit, so he couldn't really charge me either. It was blade guards. They have a bunch of attacks. They come with their own rerolls. Like it was a very hard problem to solve. And because it's not just you surge into the unit that triggered the move, right? You can surge into anything. It's very hard to get around. Like
It is.
if you fall back and you try to fall back behind another unit, that's fine. You triggered the blood surge, and then you surge into whatever unit was blocking, right? So you still get into
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
It's a very, very good ability. If you have a unit on an objective and your opponent wants to get on that objective before they shoot you, guess what? They're in combat. Uh,
Mhm.
if they want to try to declare a charge that's closer than a 7, they risk you just rolling good and getting into them in combat. It's a very, very good stratagem. I wish it was in a detachment that had other good stratagems,
Yep. Because
but
the
it is
next
one you use
one,
basically every turn.
yeah, this one is the one you have no other strats. This is the one you're going to be building around. You're going to be predicating and trying to wield this to the best extent. Because this is one that is legitimately like it's an okay detachment rule. You got freaking actual banger enhancements, but then she is just weak on the enhancement side. But we got one more strat. This one's called Dread Crusaders for 1 CP. It's in your opponent's charge phase. Just after an enemy declares a charge, if one attempts to stay infantry unit from your army that was selected as one of the more targets of that charge, you force a battle shock test on them, subtracting 1 from the result. So this is, I kind of like this strat, but man, you're going to use it like once or twice a tournament rather than anything like that. So you got 5 scouts on an objective, and you don't want it to be flipped. Spend
Yeah,
the CP if they're trying to charge and flip it. See if you can make them fail the battle shock test and keep your primary. Pretty simple stuff. Kind of handy.
it would be it's a solid strat, right? It's a solid strat. If they're charging you trying to flip an objective, you can tell them no. If they have defensive strats or fight on death or something you'd like to use on a future turn, you can tell them, hey, take a battle shock check, see if that plan will even work.
Yep.
If they have offensive strats they need to get off, they might not be able
Correct.
to do them. It's a solid
Yep.
stratagem, but it is kind of niche. And when you don't really have any other strats, you have the one very
Mhm.
good one. You have one that gives you real ones to hit, which is sometimes worth a CP and oftentimes isn't. And then you have this. Your stratagem suite is like super weak,
Very
unfortunately.
weak.
If
So
this were
one thing,
part of a balanced breakfast of stratagems, I'd be so much more happy about it. Right? If we
it
had
needs
4 good strats and 2 niche strats, fantastic. But we have 2 niche strats, 1 good strat, and that's it.
well, I really expected to see advance and charge in this detachment.
Yeah.
With reroll advances and reroll charges, I was like, bang, reroll advance and charge will be in this detachment. Maybe you'll do something silly like you can't have disembarked from a transport that turn or something. Sure, we'll have a caveat or a rider because we've got reroll advances and charges, so we're super reliable on this freaking yeet. But no, they didn't give it to us. One thing I will tell you about this, the Dread Crusader one, when you make them take the battle shock test, pre-charge after they've declared it before they've rolled it, is somehow where I think the timing is going to be. But what you have army-wide sticky objectives, so you can just sticky an objective, and they can try and charge you with their 3,000 OC unit, and you can battle shock them, and then you have sticky it. It's still yours. I thought
Yeah.
that is quite cute, even though I'm never taking that.
It
Vow.
is also pretty funny in that you can make them take a battle shock check after they've declared it, but before they've rolled it, as you said,
Mm,
means that if they fail the charge, they can't re-roll it. If they
not
fail the
re-roll it.
charge. So if
Exactly right.
they go for a 7-inch charge, you do this, they fail their battle shock check, they're like, they better make the 7 because if they make a 6, then oopsie daisy, you can't re-roll it. You can't
Exactly.
do that.
Yeah. So in the melee matchup, I actually do not mind Dread Crusaders, but man, this is not enough to make this detachment a palatable choice.
No, unfortunately, I mean, like, let's compare it very quickly to the Gladius. Gladius has a better detachment rule, although I won't say that,
Easy.
that this is like a bad detachment rule. It
No.
has good enhancements, probably worse enhancements slightly than Companions of Vehemence. And then the
Yep.
strats are just all good. They're just all good. And then unfortunately, this one has like 2 strats that are worth mentioning.
Mm,
And that means that like in the melee matchup, sure, you can battle strike people as they're coming in, but in the Gladius, you can reactive move, you can fight on death, and you can give yourself
exactly.
combat, which is much, much better. Also,
Yeah.
falling back and doing stuff is also very good in melee mirrors. So
Mhm.
anyway, also weirdly tied just to chaplains and judiciaries in a way that I really
Yeah.
it wasn't, because every detachment in this codex is tied to a particular datasheet, which kind of sucks.
Why not buff them in some way in this detachment? You know, to just over incentivize them, just make it really plain and clear. Hey, this is the way to go. Like, give them another attack in this detachment or something. Because it's wild. All right, next one is the Vindication Task Force. Purge and Sanctify are the detachment rules. Each time an attack targets an ancient unit from your army, if that unit is within range of one or more objective markers, and the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic, subtract 1 from the wound roll.
These should be pretty decent, except a fun fact: what is the worst character in Codex Space Marines? It's ancients. Ancients suck. They're really bad. You never see them ever. The one time you see an ancient model on the table is in Grey Knights, where they're a free upgrade to a squad. That is actually it. So the fact that the rest of this detachment is based around ancients is not particularly great.
The next dot point is each time a Crusader squad from your army makes a Righteous Zeal move, that's a surge, that's a blood surge, that unit can end that move as close as possible to closest objective marker instead of as close as possible to closest enemy unit. Now, that's not bad, but I'm worried about the positioning of the Crusader squad moving forward in the game, and we'll talk about that when we get to that unit entry. But, mate, how do you feel about this detachment, apart from the fact it's tied to ancients?
Well, unfortunately, that's a pretty serious problem.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Sonny Jim.
If it was just on whatever, it would be fairly solid. You're a Dark Angels player. You know Wrath of the Rock. Wrath of the Rock is just strength greater than toughness -1 to wound. Why are we getting one that says if you take the worst character line in Space Marines, you get -1 to wound? What's going on here? We don't have Deathwing Knights, right? It's not like we'd stack the durability too high. What's going on? I honestly don't understand why it's ancient keyed. If it was not ancient locked, then sure, fine. This would be a good detachment rule, but ancients suck. They suck really hard.
If you're sitting at home and you're just super jelly rolled about those Deathwing Knights, well, you too can make a bad version of that unit by taking an ancient, putting it with some Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators. And yes, you will be disappointed because you will not have minus to hit or great weapons in combat like the Deathwing Knights do, or hit on 2s for that matter. In fact, you're probably hitting on 4s.
Yeah, I mean, if they just said infantry units were -1 to wound if strength greater than toughness, I think this would be fine. I think it would be a good detachment rule. But having to take literally a 50-point per unit tax in order to get every rule in this detachment is going to be a problem.
I agree. Now, there are some very cheap ancients out there, but we will talk to this mostly on part 2. All right, I'm going to give you the 4-pack of enhancements. Imperialis of the Eternal Crusade. Ancient model only. Get used to that. Each time an enemy unit selects the bearer's unit as the target of a charge, -2 from the charge roll. This is not cumulative with any other negative modifiers. I do actually quite like this enhancement. Next up, we have Coruscating Aura. Models in the bearer's unit have a 5+ invulnerable save. Adeptus status model only. Orb of the Emperor's Aegis. Models in the bearer's unit have Deep Strike, quite like this. And then Warden of Honor. Crusade Ancient only, which is a brand new model for the Templars. While the bearer is leading a unit, each time you roll 1d6 for the bearer's Vengeful Exhortation ability, add 1 to the results. Quickly, what is that Vengeful Exhortation?
It's 4-up fight on death. It's the Crusade Ancient is a 65-point character. You slap in a unit, and he gives the unit 4-up fight on death. And if the unit kills something, he personally is like 6 OC.
He gets the OC, like the Harm Assist.
Exactly like the Harm Assist. I mean, 3-up fight on death is better than a 4-up fight on death. I'll be honest with you on that, but I'm mostly interested in the ones that don't require you to take ancients. Which is not a great sign, but -2 to charge is pretty good. That'll make you want to take an ancient more or less. 3-up fight on death is probably not worth it because the 4-up fight on death isn't worth the 65 points. And then the extra points on Warden of Honor to make it a 3-up fight on death is like super not worth it. It's like good money after bad.
Sunk cost fallacy, in my opinion. Yeah.
Exactly. But models in the bearers unit have a 5-up invuln. Very good on basically whatever units you put it on. If you put it on Sword Brethren, they don't have an invuln. If you put it on, the big unit of Crusaders. They don't have an invuln either, and they have a bunch of guys that have a 4-up armor. So they appreciate this. And then the ability to give a unit deep strike is very important because it means you can rapid ingress them. So those two, Consecrating Aura and Orb of the Emperor's Aegis, are very good, and you will take them.
Right there with you, mates. I do say that if you are, you're already heavily incentivized to take, I guess, an Ancient and some Crusaders, that if you took an Ancient in a big unit of Crusaders that had -2 to charge and used that as the front-loaded portion of your army that goes out onto, straddling possibly 2 middle objectives or an expansion, that thing would be, probably good. Probably the best version of that thing you could have in this thing.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
I will say that I think they probably could have done with a little more buffs to Ancient units if they really wanted to make you take a bunch of banners.
Well,
but we'll see how the stratagems shape up.
For the same reason, as I said, as the Judy and the Chappie, gives them something to make them palatable, to make them more incentivized, rather than them just being the thing, the buy-in to make your army, you make your detachment actually work. Why am I just paying a tax to make my detachment work by having to be, stracked with pigeonholed into these choices of this specific character? Buff the character. Make it feel good. Make it feel good that I want to go in this direction, rather than it being punitive almost.
If I take a bunch of Ancients who suck, absolutely suck. Also, Chaplains and Justiciars, you don't see very much on their own merits in Space Marine lists, but whatever.
Judy's, sure. Sure. But Chappies, I don't think I've played a Chappie this edition.
Very rarely. Yeah. But if you're going to make me take Ancients, a unit that is truly awful, give me really good rules if I shell out 50 to 65 points per unit to give them this character, please. This can't just be a normal detachment that only works if I take Ancients. That's a non-starter.
It's real bad. It almost feels like, and I hate to say it, one of the worst attachments that's been done in this edition, the Assassination Task Force, where you are lumped and have to take assassins and then have to pay extra points for those assassins to get the abilities of the detachment that is built for the assassins. Makes no freaking sense that they made you pay points for that crap. Anyway, first of the strats is refusal to yield for 1 CP. It's any phase just after an ancient model from your army is destroyed. That ancient model, which you can target with the strat, even though they're destroyed. At the end of the phase, set your model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to its starting position with its full wounds remaining. 1 CP, get your ancient back up on death. A quality, very, very high priority ability on the worst character they could have given it to. Huzzah. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, the purpose here, right, is you take a cheap ancient, you throw them on the objective, your opponent shoots it to death, you stand back up, you're like, woo, I held the
Hallowed
objective.
Martyrs.
Right.
Hallowed Martyrs 101.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, again, good strat in Hallowed Martyrs that isn't keyword locked to Ancient. Sure. This is a solid strat if you're already taking a bunch of Ancients because you're going to hold a bunch of objectives you wouldn't otherwise, but that's it. The Ancient is not about to whip out a sword and start beating some ass. He's not going to do that. The fact that you have to do this on Ancients literally just means it reads, against gunline armies, you can burn an Ancient to attempt to make them send a resource forward so that you don't get to score the objective when he stands back up. That's it. And it's not bad at that job, but what are we doing? Why is it just Ancients? But
agree. Sure, have it be 1 CP for Ancients, 2 CP for everybody else. Yeah? If you really wanted to, do that.
Or just have it be characters, man. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's a good ability. If you're taking a bunch of Ancients, you will use it.
But you're already seeing that if you do select this detachment, you almost don't have a choice. You're taking Ancients. You're buying attacks, a tax model. That's the best thing it's going to do is handle a enhancement for you, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, and you also see there are other armies, right? There's Sisters and Necrons have exactly the same stratagem: stand a character back up
with no T's and C's.
Yeah, exactly. Ours is just stand a character back up, but it has to be the worst one. Okay, if we're going to pigeonhole it like that, give us something there, please.
Yeah.
Something additional. So it isn't just the same strat, but specifically Ancients.
So much stick. I'd love a sniffer carrot is the feelings. What's the next enhancement? Next strat.
All right, we got Litanies of Purgation. 1 CP in the fight phase. You pick a Space Marine unit from your army that's not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, if that model's unit is within range of 1 or more objective markers, or the target unit is within range of 1 or more objective markers, +1 AP. It's solid. It probably has 1 more hoop than you need to. The being within range of objective markers is a little annoying, but it's a good strat, generally. It also doesn't require you to have an Ancient. Shocker, this is crazy.
I like that it's both ended as well. Like if you're on an objective or they are, doesn't matter. You get a +1 AP, and 1 CP +1 AP is just a good. It's just a good result for the expenditure of a CP, in my opinion. So this is quite good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's basically like the World Eaters one. Now, the World Eaters one does
Yeah.
not require you to be on an objective, but it does require you to have charged. So
Mhm.
it's probably about the same strength.
All right, next up, Spoor of the Unholy for 1 CP. It's in your shooting phase or the fight phase. And this raises questions. One attempts to start his unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the ignores cover ability. And each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the following characteristics: the attacker's ballistic skill, weapon skill, or the hit roll.
I mean,
All the ones. Sorry?
if you can find a modifier to a ballistic skill or weapon skill characteristic in the game, God bless. Like,
Let alone in the fight phase. Yeah. Right?
sure. Right? Like -1 to hit, sure, that's everywhere. You can probably compensate for it. But like -1 weapon skill and ballistic skill don't exist since the Death Guard Codex came out.
Mhm.
So like why are there a bunch of rules out there that ignore weapon skill and ballistic skill modifiers? That makes no sense. They
Yeah.
don't generally exist in 40K right now. Everything is -1 to hit. So why not just say that? But sure, I
Correct.
guess.
I actually like on second and third reads of this strat. I actually like it a little bit more than I thought on the first read, mostly for the reason that we don't have oath. So this is 1 CP +1 to hit against a huge swathe of units because we don't have oath to be the catchfall that we don't need to ignore mods. We just re-roll the dice and you die anyway. So I actually don't hate this as much as I did the first time I read it, but I don't love that I like this. It feels wrong.
I mean, what I'll also say is the number one use case of this is a unit that full rerolls the hit roll.
100%.
Not bad, right? Because the repulsor executioner, it rerolls to hit, but going from ballistic skill 3 to hitting on 3s to going to hitting on 4s, even with full rerolls, is a loss of efficiency and a pretty serious one. 2s to 3s with full rerolls is kind of whatever, but you're not hitting on 2s.
Yeah.
So this is pretty good with ignores cover in that many shots. It's pretty darn good on a repulsor executioner. I will say that.
And we will talk about the repex extensively on part 2, if not on this one. What's the next one, dude?
We got Reclaim Our Honor. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, you can spend 1 CP just after an enemy unit destroys an ancient model from your army that you did not stand back up. You have to have a unit visible to the enemy unit. They have to know that, they have to, like, Among Us, see you kill them. And then until the end of the battle, each time an Adeptus Astartes model from your army makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll. And you can't stand that guy back up. Like, you have to target one that did not stand up this phase, and then later on, you can't stand him back up afterwards. Now,
I have so many issues with this strat. I want to like it because it's so thematic and crusadery and Templary, and this is all that happens is I get really frustrated.
yes, I get very frustrated by this because it feels like there wasn't a lot of thought put into this.
No.
Adam, what is our best combat unit?
Sword Bros.
What do Sword Bros hit on?
The bestest.
They hit on
Twos?
2s.
They
hit on 2s.
twos. They get nothing out of this.
They get nothing out of this. Like,
Yeah.
it just feels very, very poorly thought out, honestly. In addition,
really
they
does.
have to have killed an ancient unit.
So you have to have taken enough ancients that them dying is something that you can, kind of easily do early in the game, and as a result, get a +1 to hit that is going to matter. So, turn 4, turn 5, this is pointless because you may not have enough turns to use this stratagem or make any effect out of it. And you're doing something that doesn't result in you gaining anything in the moment.
Yeah. Like Blade
Yeah.
Guard go to hitting on 2s, and I think Blade Guard and Black Templars are actually pretty good.
Quite good. Yeah, I agreed.
And Crusaders go to hitting on 2s, which is neat. But
the other one is the only other one, the one that I thought of, the one that with enough speed to capitalize on this and to possibly be close enough to be in range to see the banner going down, is Vanguard bets, which are quite cheap and get a lot out of the +1 to wound.
Yeah. I just wish it was, if you're going to tie it to A, you have to take an ancient. B, it has to die to the right enemy unit. C, you have to see that enemy unit. I hate that it all
Keep
it
going.
gets on to hit. I hate
Yeah,
that.
exactly right. Yeah,
right?
that's right.
That kind of sucks. What are we doing, man? Come on.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love what this strat symbolizes, but I hate everything about it, and it really annoys me. All right, recitation of the revered for 1 CP. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. One ancient unit from your army that was selected. Until the end of the phase, each time attack targets your unit -1 to hit. Don't hate it, don't love it. Probably going to use it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking ancients, again, I'll come back to this. If you're taking ancients, -1 to hit, -1 to wound is a very good ability to
Yes, correct.
right? Um, again, other armies just get this, but
Yeah.
that's a conversation for another day. If you're taking a bunch of ancients, it is a good strat.
It is fun to say to your Votan opponent, is that multiple judge tokens on my unit? I actually don't see any judgment tokens.
That's
I don't
crazy.
see them. Are they there? I don't see them. You got invisible tokens because they have 0 effect.
Are the judgment tokens in the room with us right now?
Can you see them? Yeah.
I can't. Or if they don't, if they actually don't have any tokens, they can feel free to do 0 damage.
Yeah, correct. You just see you later, mate. Whatever. All right, we've got one more. What is it, mate?
All right, Perfervid Intervention. End of your opponent's charge phase, 2 CP.
Wow.
You better
Yes.
be pretty
A
gangster.
banger.
1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army within 6 inches of 1 or more enemy units that would be eligible to declare a charge if it were your charge phase. Your unit can declare a charge that only targets 1 or more of those enemy units, and you resolve that charge. And you don't receive the fight first charge bonus from this. This is actually pretty gangster. It's pretty good.
It is. It's very good.
It doesn't require you to be an ancient unit. If they try to contest your objective off you, no, they didn't. You actually just killed them. Move blocking you becomes significantly harder. This is a great way to just protect your objectives early on in the game when your opponent just wants to like throw a unit away to take the objective. You go, nope, sorry, I'm going to actually charge you when you do that and kill you. Because they don't have to make a charge. A lot of people read this and think that means that it's just heroic intervention with extra steps, but it isn't. If they walk up to you and either move block you or try and take your objective or stand somewhere, you can just charge them in the middle of their turn. And while you don't fight first, keep in mind that A, it's the end of their charge phase when you do this. So they cannot continue, they can't charge you back.
Correct.
And B, it is their turn. So you will be the first one to swing.
And doesn't say a lot of terms and conditions here. You get to charge into like perfect positioning in your opponent's turn. Like, cool, they've got a character with a power fist who has sus 3 because he's a bad man, took an enhancement. Well, I'm going to charge to the opposite side of the unit from that guy, and there is a good chance, depending on what I roll, he won't attack. You get the power to do things like that, and so this is your opponent, breathing within 6 inches of your unit. 2 CP, go get him. Go freaking get him.
Yep.
And I love it. I love the idea of just holding 2 CP like a sword of Damocles over my opponent, for the whole game. And never actually using this strat, but constantly, and I'm going to say constantly reminding them of it. It's going to be beautiful.
Because if you didn't and they fell right into it, you'd feel so bad. So you have to remind them about it. And now there's a 6-inch bubble around your entire army that they just can't go in unless they want to throw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Very good.
How do you feel about this detachment in totality? Because the buffs that it gets are good, but the terms and conditions and like the plating of the meal is horrific.
Yeah,
I don't care
requires you to take ancients. Enough of the buffs are gate kept behind ancients that you cannot just not take ancients and try to get by. Unfortunately,
correct.
So you are taking ancients, and ancients are very bad. This is not a detachment that is like fine, and then if you take a bunch of very bad characters, it becomes great. It is a detachment that is bad, and then if you take a bunch of very bad characters, it becomes passable. And that is not where I want to be, right? I don't want to only be an okay detachment if I take a bunch of ancients. And I mean like a bunch of ancients. Like,
okay, so yeah, I'm exactly right. That's the thing I was about to get at. All right, let's say your angelic inheritors list from LVO. How many ancients would you have needed in that army? Because I'm thinking it's like freaking 5 or 6.
If it weren't character locked, if it was instead ancient locked, well, I have 6 characters in the list. So
yeah, correct.
In the angelic inheritors list, I have 6. So you probably would have to max out rule of 3 on at least 1 ancient, possibly 2, in order to get every unit doing the stuff you'd want it to do. That sucks. I imagine you would take like 4 or 5 ancients, and I don't want to do that. That is I'm playing like a 1750-point army at that point. What are we
Uh-huh.
doing?
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. You are putting like 250 points of your list to the side to have a detachment that's functional. And that is just untenable, man. That's actually untenable. And it really annoys me because that was the detachment I liked the most. As far as a Templars player and what I want to do as a Templars player. All right, next
Yeah,
one.
it's a bit
Does have the best name, however. This one has the best name.
the
God
God
Hammer Assault
Hammer
Force.
Assault
Mm,
Force.
mm.
Yeah, no,
Tough.
that one, the name slaps for sure.
It does. The detachment rule reads as thus: shock and awe. Each time an adeptus started unit from your army declares charge if it disembarked from a transport this turn. After selecting the targets of that charge, select one of those targets. They must take a battle shock. And each time a model adeptus started unit from your army makes a melee attack, if it disembarked from a transport this turn, add 1 to the hit roll. Once again, do they forget what they printed Sword Bros is hitting on? Because
Yeah,
they did.
I think they
Literally.
legitimately did. My assumption is that they made the detachments while Sword Brethren did something else.
Yeah.
And then Sword Brethren got changed and the detachments did not change.
Yep.
I don't have any insight into the writing process. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But something like 4 attacks, weapon skill 3 Sword Bros, and then they make the detachments, and then they become 3 attacks, weapon skill 2, and then they don't change the detachments.
Mhm.
That's going to cause some issues.
Yeah. So to me, this is the Blade Guard in a transport detachment, not the Sword Bro detachment, which bothers me to no end.
Yeah, I mean, Blade Guard are pretty good in Black Templars, I think. I've
Me
been
too.
impressed with them. But
Me
like,
too.
man, these are not buffs I want coming out of a transport. I can force my opponent to have a battle shock check. Okay, sure. +1 to hit in
Whoop-de-doo.
melee is like, okay.
Yeah.
But I have to have disembarked from a transport this turn to receive those earth-shattering buffs. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's mediocre buffs get kept by having to get out of a transport, which kind of sucks.
Very, very mid. All right. Our enhancement package reads as thus: Paragon of Fury. Add 2 to the strength characteristic of the melee weapons equipped by the bearer. Each time a melee attack made by the bearer is allocated to an enemy unit model. If the bearer disembarked from the transport this turn, +1 damage of the attack also. Don't like the caveat. I mean, I play Wrath of the Rock, Dark Angels, and I just have a +2 strength, +1 AP, +1 damage enhancement. No terms and conditions. You just freaking get it all the time. And that makes this
Yeah.
thing look like the plainest of Janes. And still, you might take it.
It's quite good. We have one of the best caddies for it, which is a Marshal.
Correct. Marshall.
Marshals have
Yeah.
1 billion attacks at bad strength and damage 2. And
Mhm.
so what that means is if you go to strength 7 with +1 to wound against the game, that's very good. Then
Yes.
+1 damage on up to 10 attacks is
Ah,
like, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
yeah.
And then he has
Hence,
lethal 5s. So
I literally just said that's exactly what I said. You might just take it because literally that dude is a rock
yep.
star. That guy's a freaking rock star.
I really
Um,
wish this were in a different detachment because we'll see.
all right, Battle Psalm Presenter.
Yeah, I mean that
Uh,
sounds like an AdMech enhancement for sure.
It does. It does. He sounds like a presenter as well. Like he's on a podcast that reviews codexes. Each time the bearer's unit declares a charge, if the enemy unit takes a battle shock test, a result of the shock and awe -1 from that battle shock test. What a waste of text. Augury servo host. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 and visible of the bearer until the end of the phase. Models in that unit cannot have the benefits of cover. Do not mind that at all, to be honest.
No,
And then
repulsor
lastly,
executioners very much like that.
Profit. Herald of the Sacred Slaughter. In the declare battle formation step, if the bearer starts the battle embark within a transport, that dedicated transport has Scouts 9. And there we are. That's the auto take.
Yep, that's the auto take. You're going to take that. You're going to take the plus strength and damage guy. You're just
Yep.
doing that. Period. Both of those are enhancements you would take in any detachment if you could, and the other 2 are fine. The ignores cover one is very good against targets that are getting shot by repulsor executioners that have 1 million low AP attacks. Very
Yep.
good there. Scout 9 on a dedicated transport, so not on like a land raider or something, notably. But it is very, very good. And then Paragon of Fury for +2 strength, +1 damage if they get out of a transport on a Marshal is going to absolutely crack beyond belief. So I like the enhancements.
I do. I genuinely like the enhancements. Hate the detachment rule. Let's hope the strats are enough to pull it all together. First up, a ceaseless course, 1 CP, end of the fight phase. 1 infantry unit from your army that was eligible to fight this phase. If your unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to 6. It cannot embark with a transport at the end of this move if it disembarks from a transport this turn. Piss right off. Why can't I get back in the transport like every other detachment that's predicated on transports? Apart from
Yeah.
that, I like this a lot.
Great question. I mean, what you're going to do, and this kind of sucks, is you're going to have a unit that's out of a transport, and you're going to have a unit that's in a transport,
Yeah.
and
You're
you're
gonna
going to
bounce
send
out.
the unit out, and you're going to get the unit out of the second unit out of the transport. Fight with the first unit, get back in the transport. Now you will receive 0 buffs from having disembarked from a transport, and that is fine because those buffs suck. So that's what you can do and get back in that way. Alternatively, you can make a charge and then get back behind a wall. This is a good strat. They almost had it to where you get back in transports, and that would be sick.
Dude,
It
Warhost
is
can do this twice. We
twice,
can't do it once.
twice. Now, I will
Yeah,
say it is a good stratagem. I just
it
wish
is.
they'd gone all the way with it.
Me too. I wish they'd pulled the trigger and let it be as good as it can be because, yeah, I still think it's a good strat. I actually really like it, and I wanted it to be a build around, but it ain't.
Even
What's
without
next?
the cycling, what you'll do is you'll go out of a transport, charge something, kill it, and then try to get back behind a wall with the
A
move.
wall. Yeah,
It's still pretty good.
yeah, it is good.
All right, we got uncompromising egress, 1 CP in your movement phase. 1 Land Raider model from your army that has not been selected to move. 1 unit in that Land Raider can disembark, and when doing so, models in the unit can be set up anywhere on the battlefield wholly within 6 inches and can be set up within engage range of
So
one or more
World Eaters.
units.
Yeah, it's a World Eaters.
It is. It's the same strat as World Eaters, except on Land Raiders instead
Land
of on
Raider.
Rhinos. I don't see the utility here. On a Rhino, at least, for World Eaters, you could get out 6, then move 8, because they move 8, right? So it's
Mhm.
essentially plus 3 inches to your move. It's a good strat. But Land Raiders can just trundle up 12 and get your guys out. Why are we getting out 6, moving 6 when the Land Raider
Doesn't
can drive forward and do it? Like, I guess
Yeah.
your infantry, you can run through walls. Sometimes that'll help, but sometimes that'll help is not the baseline for a
Yeah.
strat that I want to build my army around?
So the only time I like this is shutting down Overwatch. That's it. And they have to have their Overwatch exactly within 6 of a Land Raider.
Yep, and you don't
Um,
get to fight first.
yeah.
They'll get to fight you first because you did not charge
Correct.
them.
I kind of hate this strat. I kind of hate it. I'm not going to lie.
All they had to do,
yeah.
all they had to do was make it so it wasn't Land Raider,
Land
it was
Raider locked.
transport, and then it's essentially
Correct.
plus 3 inches move, which is pretty good. But
Yep.
it's Land Raider locked, and Land Raiders have a rule that invalidates this, and also you're not going to see that many Land Raiders, so this strat kind of sucks.
Yep. Wish you would see more Land Raiders because let's freaking go. But yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%.
Gauntlet of the God Emperor for 1 CP. You move in phase. 1 attempted status vehicle model from your army does not be selected to move. Go through the walls.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, that's fine.
It's fine. It's good. It's fine.
Repulsor executioners getting different lines of sight is basically where we're at. That's about it. We don't have Mauler fiends, right? That are good units that can go through walls and fight as a vehicle. We have Brutalis dreadnoughts, which are actually not very good at all. So having like a melee unit run through a wall here, not something we're realistically going to do. So
No.
having Repulsor executioners run through a wall and shoot is like fine. That's about it.
Much more akin to how Hammer of the Emperor uses this rule.
Exactly.
Get lines on Dawns and Russes and things. What's next?
All right, we got Focused Hatred. 1 CP in your charge phase just after you make a charge roll for an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that disembarked this turn. Until the end of your phase, each time your unit makes a charge move, models in your unit can move through models. When doing so, its models can move within engage range of enemy models, but they can only end that move within engage range of those models if the enemy models belong to a unit your unit declared a charge against this turn. A lot of parentheses text, but basically
Huge.
you can run over enemy models like you have fly. It's kind of niche. It'll come up once in a blue moon, but it's fairly niche. When it does come up, it'll be neat.
I agree. I mean, you have a bunch of very deadly units and a bunch of transports bearing down on your opponent. It's a very natural play pattern for them to try and use one unit to screen another unit. So 1 CP, haha, you did nothing is totally acceptable. But yeah, it's pretty niche.
Pretty niche.
All right, condemnatory info screed. Sorry, were you going to say more?
No. Carry on.
1 CP fight phase, your fight phase rather. Infantry unit, adaptive status unit from your army that has not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time modern unit makes an attack, if they disembark from a transport this turn, reroll a wound roll of 1. If that transport had the Land Raider keyword, reroll the wound roll instead.
I'm gonna scream. Why is this not just if you disembarked from if you disembarked from a transport not enough of a hoop? What are we doing here? Reroll wound rolls of 1 is like a mediocre buff that requires you to take a Land Raider before you get rerolls to wound, which is a good buff, to be clear. It's a very good buff. But like, what are we doing? I'm not gonna take Land Raiders. They're not good. They're just not a good unit generally.
Unnecessarily obtuse in so many ways. Look, a Redeemer's not bad. You know, Redeemer, still not the worst thing in the world. Cost too many points, but not the worst thing in the world. I could make an argument for 1 Redeemer in an army. Totally.
You could make that argument. I just hate that this stratagem is gate kept behind having to take a Redeemer. And then it only benefits the unit that gets out of the Redeemer. Because I'm sorry, real 1s to wound is just not something
I'm never spending that. I'm never spending that CP. It's this. If I do not have a Land Raider in my army, this stratagem ceases to exist. Basically. I can no longer see it or perceive it. Because real 1s to wound for a CP can go straight to hell.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad. I think it would have been fine if they just said if you disembark from a transport this turn, which, considering you have no way to get back in a transport in the same turn, is kind of a problem, right? Like, sure, you can run your unit out, spend a CP, full rerolls to wound, and it's a great damage buff. That would actually make me want to take transports, and currently, I kind of don't. And like, you can't even get back. You can't re-rack it and do it again and again and again. So what would be the harm in just saying transport gets rerolls?
Yeah, exactly right. Quickly just going to the last strat, which is 2 CP -1 damage to a vehicle unit that was selected as target in the shooting phase, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
repulsor executioners with -1 damage, pretty solid.
Happy. Very happy days. How do you feel about the total package of the Godhammer?
Oh man, they're so close. All they needed was a slightly better detachment rule and to remove every reference to Land Raiders. That's it. That's all they needed. Maybe to say you can... Actually, no, they also needed a way to get back in the transports after fighting. Every other, as you pointed out, every other transport-based army has that. And this does not.
Every single one.
That's pretty huge.
For that point and many others, this may be the worst transport detachment in the game. And transport detachments aren't heavily taken right now anyway. We have but there are good ones available to Emperor's Children, World Eaters, and a bunch of other detachments. The only transport army in the game that's getting heavily taken is Warhost. It's not a transport detachment. It's a freaking Gladius that happens to have like good transport interactions. So yeah, the Godhammer, oh my, just pisses me.
They were so close. They were
but that's this whole book to me, dude. We have 3 detachments that would be good if they weren't gate kept behind something. Judy's and Chappie's in the first one, which I have to say is the most palatable of the things that it's get behind. Because the new Chappie, I very much like the new Chappie for Dark Angels. Sorry, Black Templars, Jesus. And Judy's are freaking awesome. The next one is Ancients. You can go straight to hell with that one. Thank you very much. I ain't doing it. And then the next one is Land Raiders. And whoop-de-doo, maybe I have one of those. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe I play WTC and the thing can't move on half the maps well, and it has to be deployed exactly where my opponents know it's going to be, so they know they can kill it turn 2 if I decide to try and use it.
Or every time you want to move it, it costs you a CP, right?
Yeah, because you have to go through a freaking wall.
Yeah. But like that's going to add up really fast if the first 2 to 3 turns you have to spend a CP making it work. I mean, the problem is the detachment. The best rules are hidden behind the mediocre rules are hidden behind getting out of a transport. The best rules are locked behind getting out of a Land Raider. That is not a great combination. I'm going to be upfront with you.
It is not. We're going to take a pause.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to turn the room over to Richard for like 20, 25 minutes. I don't know if you want. Do you want to carry on after that, or do you want to pick up a different day?
Carry on after that. Yeah, by all means. Right. Yeah, I'll hit a pause, and you just hit me up on Messenger when you're good to go again.
We'll do.
Leave this open if you want. Just leave it open. I'll have this on pause. I'll have both of us on mute. Shouldn't bother Richard at all.
Okay, yeah. I'll stop the virtual camera from OBS. This should be fine.
Easy. I'll count this back in. All right, Seamus, restarting in 3, 2, 1. All right, now we are done with what is unfortunately 3 fairly mediocre thematic, I think is the word I would use. And we're headed into the data sheets where we start off pretty freaking strong. High Marshal Helbrecht, already one of the better characters in the game, is actually even better now. So still got his same dev wounds, anti-infantry 4 plus, 2-shot ferocity gun. Still sort of the High Marshal, the same 6 attacks at 833 or 12 at 631, which is one of the better sweeps in the game. And then he comes with 2 special rules. He used to just give +1 strength to his unit that he was leading. He now gives +1 attack in addition and still does his mighty High Marshal headbutt, where he does a couple of mortal wounds in the fight phase. I am pretty freaking high on Helbrecht. I think he is excellent, dude. How do you feel?
So technically he got nerfed, but not actually. So
No.
he used to give +1 strength and crit fives,
Crit
which
fives.
a lot of builds struggled to actually use.
Mm.
If you were playing in the Gladius, you straight up could not use it, period.
Yep.
And if you were playing in the Righteous Crusaders, you could use it if you spent a CP on his unit, but they were oftentimes in a transport, so you actually couldn't do any of that. So you weren't making use of the crit fives. He has lost crit fives, which would be very, very good in this codex. Too good, maybe, but he's gained +1 attack, which is maybe as good, possibly as good on balance. So instead of having +1 strength and then a very good sounding ability he rarely got a chance to use,
Mhm.
now has +1 strength and +1 attack, which is gross. Also, his mortal bop at the start of the fight phase just has +1 to it now for
Yep.
every 5 models in his unit, which turns it into one of the best mortal bops in the game, and it's at the start of
Correct.
the fight phase. So if like a squad of howling banshees charges him, it's they
Yeah.
before anything happens, before they get a chance to swing before anything happens. So it's quite solid.
Yes, because on a 4 to 5, it's just 3 mortal wounds, and then on a 6, it's D3 plus 3. And of course, you have if you're fighting 5 guys, it's on a 3 plus, they'll get 3 mortal wounds. On a 5 plus, they'll take D3 plus 3. If you're in a squad of 20 crusaders, if you decide to go down such a route, you will just headbutt half a unit dead before you swing. It's really quite nice
Yeah, and it's not just before you swing, it's before they swing.
before they
So if
swing.
they
Yeah.
charge you, you're like, well, on a checks notes 2, you take D3 plus 3 mortal wounds.
Yep, it is rough. It's almost like he has fights first. He has like a pseudo baby fights first. I think Helbrecht is stupendous.
Yeah, he's
He has.
great.
We will talk a little bit about points here as well, because of course we have those at this point, and he is
He is
120.
Yeah, 120, I think, is maybe a little bit higher than I would have ideally
Yeah,
wanted,
me
but he
too.
is very good. He's in all of my lists now to start, and I'm very excited to roll with him. +1 strength, +1 attack, with +1 to wound if strength equal to or less than the toughness is means his unit's a blender, just an
Wild.
absolute blender.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if he's just with 20 guys, he's taken all those guys to strength 5, and then with the +1 to wound, they just a whole new stratosphere of damage, even if he wasn't giving them +1 attack as
Yeah.
well.
And
So
in Sword Brethren, he makes them all strength 6.
exactly right. The
It means
next
you do
break.
knights on 4s, and then you have extra
Hmm.
attacks and lethals, and it's
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Oh, baby. All right, your turn to tell us how they massacred our boy, because Chaplain Grimaldus is up next.
Oh yeah, you gave me the fun one for sure. So Grimaldus's pick 3 ability went from fallback, advance, and charge, or 5 at feel no pain, or +1 AP. It changed to +1 advance and charge rolls, +1 toughness, or +1 AP in melee weapons. That is so much worse. It's actually kind of crazy. His points went down like 10 points or
Hmm.
20 points or something. He is quite bad. He now gives rerolls to hit in the fight phase, which is great. He still does that. Used to as well. It's just his pick 3 ability is gutted from what it used to be.
Yeah, yeah, nothing will really replace the efficacy of the 5 I Feel No Pain. And you'll find that Feel No Pain is pretty much missing from this codex. It is essentially gone as an identity of Black Templars. I still
It
think
was gone from
Grimaldus.
Death Guard too, which is kind of crazy
Yeah,
considering those are like the armies that get a feel no pain. But hey, it's gone.
exactly right. Completely gone. Now, I'm still thinking Chaplain Worlds is okay, but I would like to see him a little bit cheaper for what he brings. Because of course he doesn't hit that hard. He's got his 6 attacks at 622. Yeah, it's fine. +1 toughness is a not bad like defensive buff, but you can't combo with anything. There's like we ran through the stratagems in this book, and there's kind of no defensive ones apart from a
Well,
-1 to hit, which kind
yeah,
of doesn't touch the sides. Also, armor contempt completely missing, as you guys have noticed, which is in keeping with the Space Wolves Codex at least. But yeah, you can't really get the defensive 20-man bricks going anymore. You can go toughness 5. That's the best defense you can possibly do in this book.
yeah, that's not
Yeah.
really worth it compared to the 5 up Feel No Pain. I think he's personally going to be left on the shelf. It's a little sad, but it is what it is.
I think it's going to be left on the shelf because I think if you're going to look for a chaplain, the new chaplain is, I believe, vastly superior.
Yeah, the new
Um,
chaplain's very good.
Moving down to the Emperor's Champion, now has Lone Operative. He moves 8, so he is a speedy boy. He still goes 2+, 4+5 wounds, etc., etc. In combat, he's kind of worse than he was before. Not due to his actual like how he hits, but he's got anti-character 5+ precision on his strike, which is still at 833, and then he's got his 10 sweeps at 621. Now, what has changed is once per phase, of course, it can still 0 a damage, and once per phase is actually pretty dang strong, so you can go shooting into fighting. And then Heirs is Sigmund's Heir. Each time this model's unit declares a charge, if one or more targets of the charge have the character keyword, add 2 to the charge roll. Once per battle, when this model's unit is selected to fight, if that character is within engagement range of one of enemy characters, it can use this ability. If it does, it has dev or wounds for that one attack. So I am a bit weird. The fact that he is a lone operative leader, they've pretty much aligned him to be a similar Lucius the Eternal.
All right, let me sell you on this guy because they
Yeah,
gave him a lot of buffs that are not apparent right on the surface. So the number one thing I think that he does that is kind of hard to see is he turns a regular unit and makes them lightning fast
lightning fast. Yeah,
because he's in a unit, right? You're in a transport. You then get out, and the Emperor's Champion is the first model in the unit to move, right? So he is the first one closest to the enemy. So he essentially makes the whole unit movement 8 because
yeah.
he goes 8 inches after disembarking. The unit trails along behind him. And then when they charge, they all just like glump back up again, and it's fine. In addition, he gets +2 to charge. So that is an additional basically +2 move. So if you are, let's say you're in the Gladius, right? And you're advancing and charging out of a transport, which is a thing that just happens, right? You advance and charge out. You get disembark 3, you then move 8, you then advance D6, and you go charge at +2. So you are moving functionally 13 plus D6 inches
Mhm.
and charging, I'm wrapping the +2 to charge in as bonus to the move
Yeah.
function. That is very, very fast. World Eaters, for example, when they get out of a transport, move 11 and then
Correct.
advance and charge after that. He moves 11, advances and charges at +2.
At
So
+2.
he takes a unit and goes crazy fast with it. I don't think you have him by himself because you lose out on all of that.
Yeah,
In
I tend to agree. It annoys me that he's actually just not that good at killing characters. He's kind of, I mean, why would I need anti-character 5+ when I'm strength 8 AP 3 damage, potentially +1 to wound, likely +1 to wound if strength is high, toughness is higher than strength. So he kind of annoys me in that
because
he doesn't.
basic game, he gets devastating wounds.
Yeah, but what do you do?
No, no, it's not what to do. So he swings into the enemy unit. You get dev wounds and crit 5s. You roll a 5 and a 6. You with precision just say, yeah, those both go on your character. Your character's dead. Everything else goes
Mhm.
on your unit, right? Because precision, you can allocate it with that kind of
Correct.
granularity.
Yep.
Or you just say you have a character in your unit, so I will just dev wound on 5s instead of 6s, which
And
is
not
quite
precision.
helpful. And just
Yeah.
not precision.
Yeah.
That's quite helpful. In addition, his Armor of Faith ability used to say once per phase you could 0 the damage on a melee attack. Now it is once per phase you can 0
Yeah.
the damage on an attack. And then there is something else missing from his profile. Do you know what it is?
Go on.
Epic Hero.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So it still has a rule that says you can't take more than one of him,
Yeah, it does.
but you can take enhancements on him.
Correct. Now that gets spicy. That is where we start cooking and brewing, my man. So
Yeah,
I
so-
am higher. I am still quite see. I don't know how I feel about him because it's a lot to quantify. He's completely altered in modality. It used to just be like, here's my 20 man. I'm going to hide an Emperor's Champion here to terrify the ever living crap out of you in a merely matchup because he will absolutely slaughter his way through half a unit by himself and kill your characters. And now he's a little different. He's more of a slingshot mechanic. He's more of a Ragnar Blackmane than he is an Emperor's Champion.
Yeah, I mean, he will still run in and very often pick out an enemy character with dev wounds and precision. But what he is now is that he's very modular. You can give him enhancements. He makes your unit very, very fast. And then when the unit does die, it's not free to kill him. He can blank
No.
a save that would kill
Yeah.
him, and then he's a lone op, so you can't keep shooting him. I think he's phenomenal. I'm very excited to keep playing with him. Like, for example, there's a number of builds you can do. Like, if you wanted to take him and give him armor Indomitus, or Artificer armor, sorry.
Yeah,
If you want to
correct.
give him Artificer armor, give him a 5-up Feel No Pain in addition to the blank, so when his unit dies, he almost always still is there holding the objective. That's pretty good. If you want to give him Honor Vehement, so he's +2 strength, +2 attacks, and now he's swinging with
Correct.
8 attacks at 10-3-3, dev once a game, crit 5s against characters. Dev once a game against characters, crit 5s against characters with 8 attacks at 10-3-3, +1 to wound against toughness 10 or higher. That also cracks pretty hard. And then he makes his unit go so fast that I'm not leaving home without him.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Where is the what's yeah, so I was trying to figure out maybe I'm remembering correctly. Is there a get back up on death enhancement in any of the Astartes
It's
attachments?
possible, not in
I
the
seem to
Gladius.
remember there being one.
Not in
I know it's not in Gladius. The one I thought it was Firestorm, and I just checked, and it's not there either.
Got it.
But never mind, we will move on. But yeah, the fact that you can give him enhancements, there is a lot of tech there. There is a lot of spiciness to be had.
Yeah,
Next up,
I
we
think
have
it's a really good change.
Next up, we have the Marshal, whose stat line is exactly the same. Has lethal hits in combat with 7 attacks at 5/2/2. Still comes with either a combat weapon or a plasma pistol. Gives a unit crit 5s, and each time this model unit is selected to fight until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of these models of Mastercraft power weapon for each enemy unit. Within 6 of this model, up to a maximum of +3. So if you do position it well, can be 10 attacks at 5/2/2. And we know there's other ways to enhance this thang too. I think the Marshal is superb. Now, I haven't found a huge amount of lethal and sus to add to units. Like things that give those. There are fewer and fewer of those available to you, especially with the index attachment.
So they're not in the detachments, no, but
Correct.
all the chain swords in this codex are sustained hits, and all the mastercrafted power weapons are lethal hits.
Lethals,
So
exactly right. So the 2 identities they've just attached.
So that means if a marshal is leading a unit that has chain swords, those are sustained on 5s. And if he's leading a unit that has mastercrafted power weapons, those are lethals on 5s, including his own mastercrafted power weapon.
Correct.
And if he's swinging on an enemy unit, minimum he's going to be 8 attacks with lethal 5s, which is really good.
Really good. Yeah.
And it's very easy to get him up to 9, possibly 10 attacks. And then he has lethal 5s going in, hitting on 2s with +1 to wound against strength, against toughness greater than or equal. He's really good.
He's fantastic. He might be like one of the best characters, like one of the best non-named characters going at the moment. He's absolutely fantastic. I think he's incredible even.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
We'll run you a meager 80 points as well for the privilege. Tell us about the Castellan.
So the Castellan is the lieutenant, basically. He can double join units. So if a captain or a chapter master has already been attached to a unit, you can still join the Castellan to that unit. He has either a chainsword with sustained hits or a mastercrafted power weapon. Now, notably, he used to have 4 attacks with that thing, and he was just worse than a lieutenant. He now has 6 attacks with the mastercrafted power weapon and 7 with the chainsword. So he very, very much holds his own in damage. While he's leading a unit, every time that unit is selected to fight, take a leadership check for that unit. If passed, you reroll hits, and if failed, you get reroll 1s to hit. And a lot of our melee units will hit on 2s.
This, as far as I can tell, in this codex, just this codex, is the only way to get rerolls, full rerolls to hit. I have yet to see something else that gives full rerolls to hit.
Other than
get
rerolls. Yeah.
Correct, exactly right. I was about to say other than Grimaldus. And yeah, so just getting that on demand, even if it is at a leadership 6 check, which is 1/3 failure, it's still pretty good. Still pretty
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah, it's still pretty darn good. And then in addition, each time a model in this model's unit makes a melee attack that destroys an enemy unit on a 4+, you gain a CP, which is
Cute.
just
It's cute.
fine. It's just
Yeah.
nice to have. It's not the main reason you include him.
All right, next up we have the Execrator, the brand new chappie for the Templars. The stat line is exactly what you think a chappie is. Move 6, T4, 3 up, 4 up, 4 wounds, leadership 5, and a 1 OC. It comes with the Absolver or the Pyre pistol, as you would assume, especially with the Absolver. His Crotus Arcanum is the standard version with 5 attacks at 612. Can also have a mastercrafted power weapon with extra attacks and lethal hits if you choose to eschew your pistol for an extra 3 attacks at 522. And I am pretty keen on doing that, to be honest. I will almost certainly take this guy with double melee almost every time. It comes with 2 great abilities. One of these is not like the others, though. Remorseless Persecution. Whilst this model is leading a unit, that unit is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Windmill Slam. So many good opportunities and reasons to take this dude just off that. And then in addition, each time this model unit has fought, if one of the enemy units were destroyed as a result of that, everyone within 6 take a battle shock, which is cute. But definitely not the buy-in. Can only be attached, however, to Crusaders and Sword Brethren, which I think is the problem. Because I would love to put this guy with so many other units, but you will not have the option. How do you feel about him?
He's pretty good. The main issue here is that I think the best detachment is Gladius. Now, he is a chaplain, so he does trigger, companions of
Correct.
demons. But even so, I think the best detachment is Gladius, which does not want to advance and charge on its units as much as it would like the Marshal or the Emperor's Champion. I think you will take one of these if you've already taken an Emperor's Champion, because the Emperor's Champion going 2 inches further and getting +2 is essentially an advance and charge in all but name. This guy's good in any of the detachments that don't have advance and charge. If you are taking a detachment that already has it, you probably are going to take the Marshal or Halbrecht or the Emperor's Champion or something else.
Yeah. To me, he makes the first detachment a lot more palatable by him being powerful. The one that gives you reroll advances and reroll charges. Makes you really want to spam this guy. And he makes it not feel like attacks to go down the Chappie and Judy road. But despite that detachment's still very mid in what you get. But he is good. He's good.
He is very good. He's also good in a detachment we're not really going to talk about too much today, which is Wrathful Procession, where you can give your entire army +2 move, +1 advance.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden he's hopping out, he's going 11, he's advancing +1 with, and then charging after that, which is
And look, he slams 8 attacks hitting on 2s at either 6 or strength 6 or strength 5, AP1, AP2, damage 2 on both sides. He kind of slams, man. He absolutely rocks as a damage piece of his own as far as chaplains go.
for sure.
And he'll run you a square 70 points for the privilege.
This
next guy, whose model I absolutely adore, whose rules I do not. Take it away with the Crusade Ancient.
Oh boy, yeah. So the Crusade Ancient, he does have 5 attacks with a mastercrafted power weapon, which is, I guess, a thing that exists.
Yeah.
And while he's leading a unit, every time a model in that unit is destroyed by a melee attack, on a 4+, if it hasn't already fought, they can fight and then are removed. And then the first time a model in this model's unit makes a melee attack that destroys one or more enemy units until the end of the battle, while this unit is not battle shocked at 5 to this model's OC characteristic, this dude sucks. I don't have a nicer way to put it. He can also only join 2 units, which is the Crusader Squad and the Sword Brethren Squad.
It's on theme, man. They give you a new thing, and then they pigeonhole sandbox the absolute crap out of what it can join. It frustrates me that they've done that. Look, for 65 points, he hits okay, I guess. He hits like a sword, a little bit better than a sword bro. He's essentially a company hero. He's a 4 wound, 3 up save marine. That's it. And he doesn't do enough.
I wish that, listen, the 4 fight on death is great as a secondary ability. It's very good there.
Exactly.
But as the primary reason to take him, it's just useless. Give them something else instead of the add 5 to his OC if you've already killed something. And then we can talk about this dude, right? Give him something. Even +1 AP in combat to his unit would be
I have one fundamental issue. Let me just double check something. So they have gone through what he can be attached to in addition. Yep, cool. He can't do that. All right, so he can be attached in addition to captain, chapter master, execrator, or lieutenant. He can be attached in addition to that to a unit. So there is some death ball combos, pseudo Death Star stuff, like 10 sword bros plus him plus Helbrecht, and those sword bros fighting on death on a 4+ is pretty freaking terrifying in a melee matchup. Of course, you can probably just shoot those guys dead in any other matchup, but that's a thing. Like having all those dudes fight on death on a 4+. I just wish he could join a 20-man alongside Grimoldus. That's what I want, because you can join Execrator units, but he can't join Chaplain units, and Grimoldus does not have the Execrator keyword.
If you wanted to take a Black Templar unit that was really good in the melee matchup, what you would do is you would take a Castellan with one of those guys in the Gladius, and then pay 2 CP and automatically fight on death.
Oh yeah, you would just exactly right. Why are you going down this rabbit hole you do not need to enter?
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have Sword Bros. They're still the same profile as they were before. They're 3-wing Marines. They do hit on 2s now, but they have got a 1 less attack. They hit on 2s with everything but the Thunderhammer, which hits on 3s. They've all gained their chainswords, like you said, have gained sus. The Mastercrafted power weapons have gained lethal. Thunderhammer still has devs, and the Lightning Claw still have Lightning Claw twin linked. Their datasheet rule was one of the best in the game, I would say, which was +1 damage. I don't know what the other option was, because I never didn't do +1 damage.
It was +1 attack. So when you needed to kill like a 20-man unit of Gene Stealers, you could do it. But +1 damage is what you picked most of the time. It also gave it to the attached character, which was very good.
Yes.
This rule is very different.
It is. Each time an enemy unit within engagement range of this unit is selected to fall back, after it ends that fall back move, if this unit is not within engagement range of one of enemy units, it can make a normal move. Powerful but niche. Because if you're tooling this guy right, the only units that are going to have the chance to fall back for you that aren't dead are the ones you've consolidated into. And then your opponent knows and will be good and not let you do consolidation moves into future units. And then these guys essentially don't have a datasheet ability.
I will say, I think you will be able to make this work. So if you charge things and you kill them down low, but without killing them all the way, that also works. In addition, a lot of the time your opponent can't keep every unit in their army apart from every other unit in their army. That just isn't how that's works.
There are some armies who don't have the option. That's fair.
Most enemy armies are not going to be able to prevent you from tagging something after you fight. I did that a lot with the Grey Knights, where I'd charge one unit, kill it, tag something else.
Yeah.
And then when they fell back mists, it was something I would just do basically every turn. And so I think this is strong. It's strong for a couple reasons. One, you can get back into transport when you're done, which is very, very good. 2, you can also combine it with anything else that triggers off of that move or fallback or whatever.
Yes. Are you talking about a Gladius reactive move by any chance?
I am. I am actually talking about the Gladius reactive move. If you're in tactical doctrine, this unit, when you fall back from it, will move 12 inches. And if there's a transport 15 inches away, they will enter into it. That is
correct.
Cool. If you're not in tactical doctrine, they will move 7 to 12 inches and get back into transport behind the wall or wherever.
Now, I adore this when used with the Judy. You chuck a Judy in a unit of... Oh, sorry. They come in units of 4 to 10 now, by the way. So you can take very, very small squads if you wish. And yeah, I love it with the Judy, because cool. Even if I can then consolidate into your power units and fights first, kill them. Or you can fall back, and then I'm going to bunk. I'm going to bunk twice. And then you might not get a chance to kill me again, because then I'm going to come back in at a different angle, or yada, 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 yada. So I love the jank that they bring, but I feel like the overall power has gone down. Even if they do hit on 2s now, the loss of +1 damage means that there's just things that they will and will not kill now, when before they were world-ending power.
Yeah, they definitely hit less hard than they did before. The +1 damage did get carried over into the Mastercrafted power weapons, which is nice. Yeah. Those used to be 1 damage. Now they are 2. In fact, that's probably what you're going to take, is just the power weapons. Although I think if you plan to have a Castellan in the unit, you will still take a Thunderhammer. But they have gained some things that very, very much help. They no longer hit on 3s. They now hit on 2s, and they are lethal hits in addition, where they were not before. So, yes, they lost an attack, they lost +1 damage, but the damage got carried over into the mastercrafted power weapon. And -1 attack in exchange for lethal hits and +1 to hit, on balance, is about even, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe even a little bit better, but you need some. These guys are like ripe for a comboing. On their
absolutely.
face,
Yeah.
they're only okay, but if
Like,
you put in like a Marshal, a
yeah.
Castellan, Halbrecht, the Emperor's Champion, or something in there, suddenly they go from being only okay to hitting very hard. And if you
Mhm.
fall back from them, especially in the Gladius where you can double move, if you fall back from them, they can just get back into transport, which is
Yeah.
super frustrating.
Previously, I do think Sword Bros were in a really rough place for GW, where their data sheet was so good they didn't need any accoutrement. They didn't need CP. They didn't need freaking detachment rules. They didn't need anything. If they make the charge roll, scoop your freaking unit. I have yet to, in the previous iteration, I've yet to have a 10-man Sword Brethren unit make a charge roll and not be out of combat at the end of the fight phase.
Yeah,
They just freaking killed everything. So yes, they have toned them down, probably rightly so. For that, they have dropped them in points. So 4 of these guys will cost you only 105 points, and I actually find that really attractive. Like having 1 fat, 2 tiny of these units, because they are still 3 wound Marines that will go and trade up with the +1 to wound extremely freaking well into so many things, and then they're down by 10 points on every other variation. So 130 for 5, 235 for 9, and 260 for 10, which I think's pretty fair. 26 points per model is about correct, I believe.
I would say so. I think 26 points a model is pretty reasonable. I
Yeah.
mean, you compare these guys to Blade Guard, who are around a similar points cost, and you get something fairly comparable. You
You do.
-1 attack, again, no rerolls, but +1 to hit and lethal hits. Okay, that balances that all out. You
Yeah.
still have +1 to wound. And then instead of having the invuln, you are a lot harder to interact with because if they fall back from you, you just like peace out and get
Yeah.
back to
Well,
transport.
in addition, they have a better suite of weapon options fit for purpose and keywords on those weapons. So you're paying a little bit of a privilege to have sus, the lethal, the devs, the twin linked as well, and to be
Exactly.
able to kit them out a little more freely. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Mastercraft Power Weapon is probably where I'm at for the vast majority, especially when you're hitting on 2s and the Thunderhammer hits on 3s. But there's like we said, there's very few rerolls in here. You have to go slapping the lieutenant in there and passing the leadership check to get the rerolls. But outside that, I just think Sword Bros are still fantastic. It's still stock in trade. They're still probably your build around unit that you're taking multiple of.
Especially because they're the only unit that Helbrecht can go in. They're the only unit the Emperor Champion can go in. So I think
What
those
do you mean? They can go in Crusaders.
sorry, they can also go in Crusader. My bad. You're right. I made a mistake there. Uh,
Oh, got him.
I think there's also a case to take potentially maybe one unit with the chainsword. Armor Contempt is down,
Dude,
is like
across the board.
across the board. Like a lot fewer armies have it. And these guys are swinging around with 6 attacks with
Yep.
this thing each. And it has sustained hits now. So if you do take, like, if you take a Marshal and a Castellan in the unit, you have
Mhm.
a million attacks, right?
Oh
Like,
boy, does it blend.
perfectly reasonable that those 2 characters combined will have 15 attacks. And then
Well,
the squad will have 30. And then
yeah.
they get full
See,
reroll.
what I love is that
Five,
like you can take the 4s or 5s and have a unit with all the master crafted, have one of your 4s or 5s with all chainswords, and then choose where you put your characters. Like at the start of the game, you can chuck them all with a 10-man, or you can chuck, or maybe it's just the crit 5s or the rerolls you're chucking around. Maybe Helbrecht always goes with the 10-man, and maybe there. But you can chop and change, and I love the fact that you can do that. And just if you want, just have 5 guys with chainswords, slap crit 5s on them with the sus, and hitting on 2s, you will go to the freaking moon.
Yeah, you will
In
hand your opponent a billion saves with that.
Yeah.
Just with
What are
full
you?
like, I mean, I can
Yeah.
I can run the numbers really quick because it's really crazy. It's 30 attacks, hitting on 2s, full rerolls. So you're gonna reroll everything that isn't a 5 or a 6. You get
Correct.
10 5s or 6s, you reroll the 20, and that's gonna give you another 7. So
7.
it's
Yeah.
17 sustained on 30 attacks. So you're gonna get something like 45 hits out
Yeah.
of 30 attacks, and then you're +1 to wound.
What are we, Orc boys? Let's go. Let's go, man.
You plus one wound, and then the characters also have like 15 attacks with lethal 5s and full rerolls. It gets a little crazy. Like actually, that does a lot of damage. It turns out.
All right. So we have a couple of data sheets up next. And the reason I believe that they've revamped these data sheets for, differing versions in this book is because these data sheets had rules that keyed off Oath of the Moment, which Templars no longer have. So Sternguard and Terminators are pretty much portovers as far as data sheets go, with changed abilities. So Sternguard now, each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible target, reroll 1s to wound, is their new datasheet ability. And Terminators have each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters or vehicles, within engagement range of this unit falls back, all models in that unit must take a desperate escape, and at -1 if they're battle shocked. They still have the teleport homer. Did I miss anything there, or is that?
No, they're both pretty bad, honestly.
Yeah, they're both very bad, unfortunately.
Sternguard are at least cheap. They're 85 points for 5, but you're not going to take them over other things that are in that same points bracket. So, whatever.
But hey, I did you a solid. You can do Crusader squads.
Sweet. Thank you. All right. So, Crusader squads, now if they shoot at you, you move, you blood surge D6 plus 2 inches.
They're called berserkers.
Yeah, they're corn berserkers. They have, 4 attacks at strength 4, AP 1, damage 1, but with sustained hits is pretty nice. The Sergeant still has a Mastercraft power weapon with lethal hits, which is dope. They still come in 10s or 20s, and you still get, 6 guys with power armor, 4 scouts, or 12 guys in power armor and 8 scouts if you take the 20 man. They are all right. I mean, they replaced rerolls to advances and charges with Blood Surge D6 plus 2, which does help quite a bit. I think if you're planning to take a bunch of these guys, you take like the Ancient Detachment to try to make them a -1 to wound, and then you also have the ability to go towards the closest objective if they shoot at you with the Blood Surge, which is neat. All in all, I don't know if I really like these guys that much.
Here's my biggest criticism. They're just going to freaking die. They're going to die in this meta. They're going to die in freaking droves. You're going to be picking them up by the handful. There's no AOC access in this book, and there's no feel no pain access in this book. So you are going to just be taking, blobs of 10 assault intercessors or worse. Of course, if they're the Neos, and kind of just praying they make it.
Yeah, I mean, they also don't do a lot of damage, which is the other problem. They don't live through a lot, and then they also don't do a lot of damage.
Well, so exactly right. So why are we taking them? They're not even that fast, unfortunately, because we got this is one of the criticisms I have of the book is that the loss of Templar identity, like Ragnar and 20 Blood Claws, completely overshadows the Crusader squad in every conceivable metric. Every single one. Speed, lethality, and durability. They are running rings around us, and it pisses me off. That's our thing.
I don't
Leave it alone.
Squads are that great. They're cheap.
Don't.
At least they're 15 points a model, but that's like where it ends. If you take a 20 man, they're 15.5 points a model. I don't think they're that great, unfortunately. I think Sword Brethren are quite good, but I don't think Crusaders are.
Well, because I look at the package of Sword Bros, and then what I can attach to it, and I get very excited. I look at the Crusaders and what I can attach to it, and I'm like, oh, I still can't make him do much. I can't make him durable. I can't make him hit exponentially harder. I mean, if we get another Horde meta that comes back, these guys are anti-Horde out the wazoo. Your guys will beat their Horde of guys. Like if it's Orcs or Tyranids or, demons, sure, you will mulch those like no tomorrow. But into the meta that we're in right now, where everything is high toughness, high save, high wounds, these guys will bounce so hard and then die. Like I think about what 3 Death Shroud and a lot of Contagion does to a Crusader squad, and it makes me a little ill.
Oh, that's a rough one. I do think that if you feel like spending like 140 points on characters, right, for full rerolls and crit 5s, these guys do pump out a billion attacks. They will kill those Death Shroud as long as they weren't the ones getting charged. But that's also a very expensive unit. It's like a 450 point unit. And I just don't think you have the durability on it to make it worth it.
Yep, and then you just simply attach Ragnar to 20 Blood Claws. They advance and charge inbuilt, and they reroll the wound. And it's one character. The Crusaders, I'm really worried about the Crusaders. I want to love them. They're one of my favorite units in the freaking game, and I just think they're not there. And hopefully the meta changes, and they are at some point. All right, we got a bunch of vehicles to do. Impulsors are here. They're the same as regular impulsors, but of course they get the multi-melter. Whoop-de-doo.
Cheaper,
Anything
though, which is
a little
nice.
cheap. Yeah, cheaper than they were. The Lancer is the same. It's got a multi-melter, the same datasheet ability, as is the Reaper, as is the Valiant. They're all the same, I believe.
They are all exactly the same. One notable thing is that they are exactly the same points cost as the
Yes.
regular Marine one, but they
Yeah,
get a
baby.
so yes, the Valiant and the Reaper are probably not as good as the Space Marine one because they very much want Oath. You can get by on the Valiant, I think.
Yeah, I
But
think
the
so.
Lancer is the same points cost as a regular Space Marine Lancer, and it does come
And
with a reroll to hit, wound, and damage.
it
So
was already like virtually oath agnostic anyway. So
exactly.
it's fantastic and self-contained.
And it went
Yeah.
down essentially 10 points. So I like the Lancer, and I'm not usually a Lancer lover. I'm usually a Lancer hater. But
Yeah.
I think the Lancer on this one is the same points cost as everyone else, comes with its own rerolls, and really helps keep people off your back, and also just has a random multi-melta. 4 shots that are anti-tank, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I like it. The repulsor is exactly the same. I'm actually kind of high on the repulsor with a 10-man sword bro package because in the Gladius it has a reactive move. It has, did you shoot me? We're back in the boat. Did you come near me? We're back in the boat. Did you fall back from me? We're back in the boat. It comes with a trifecta of, you can't really interact with this unit anymore functions, but then the goodness stops there.
The repulsor and the repulsor executioner actually have changed abilities from the regular repulsor and repulsor executioner.
Yep.
The regular repulsor, if you charge a unit that's near it, they just get back inside the repulsor, which is very good. Kind of compensated
sorry.
for by the fact that
Apologies. Yeah.
repulsors aren't like the most efficient unit on their face, so you're
Yeah.
probably not going to take an 180 point tank, but whatever. This one, if your opponent shoots at it,
Correct.
you can immediately disembark your unit, which, I mean, you can get out wholly within 6, which
Yeah.
is like kind of neat, but I don't see it really. I don't see why you would really take this. As a tank, 180 points. It comes with a multi-melta 2. It has a bunch of guns, I guess. But if you're going for that direction, may I recommend the Repulsor Executioner, sir?
Well, I'm pissed off that they changed the repulsor because the original would have been better.
It would have been,
and
for sure.
what I just said is now invalid. Tell us about the Repex because we are all upon this guy.
So this guy is great. So it's the same points cost, I believe, as a regular Repex. It's 220 points, which is,
I'll check for you. You keep going.
It is definitely 220. I don't know what the regular Repulsor Executioner is for regular Space Marines, and I don't care because it's worse. Okay, the regular Repulsor Executioner, I believe if your target of your attack is below half strength, they get +1 to hit, which is a very bad ability. It's just a tank with a bunch of guns, and people will take it if they can buff it in some way. Maybe give it Oath. But we don't have Oath. We only have a new ability, Interception Strike. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within 12 inches of one or more Adeptus Astartes units from your army, you can reroll the hit roll. This tank is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how else to put it. That tank is really, really good. And
yes,
you're going to want multiples.
I 100% agree. The couple of the test lists that I've run have run double Repex. Have you gone to the third yet?
I haven't built a list with 3 yet, but I think it does feel to me like that's where I'm going to end up. This thing has 1 billion shots, actually just 1 billion shots that full reroll.
It's such a buffable chassis as well. Like you can take the Storm Speeders of your dreams, you can just take in curses and give a +1 to hit, and they can be the thing that triggers the thing within 12 as well, because they're going to move up the board with all their abilities. I think the Repex is possibly the best unit in the book. And when I say possibly, I actually mean it is.
it's pretty high up there. I mean, it's good because otherwise we wouldn't have a very great shooting platform. The Gladiator Lancer would do some things, and it would be what we would use. We'd be happy to use it. It would be a fine tank. But the Repulsor Executioner is like a very good tank, and it means we're not going to just get outclassed because we don't really have shooting buffs. Right? We don't have Oath, so Vindicators not that great. Valiants are only okay. Right? We only can take okay tanks.
Yeah.
But the
Repex
Repex
saves us.
is incredible, right? 2 to 3 period. You just have really good long range shooting. You have really good close range shooting. In the Gladius, you can give all of its billion shots plus 1 AP and ignores cover,
Correct.
which is crazy. You can give it advance and shoot, which is great. It comes with its own rerolls. A unit I very much like in Black Templars right now are jump pack intercessors, because you get +1 to wound on all of their attacks, and they can run out and give the Rep-X full rerolls to hit and then charge something.
Well, dude, exactly right. Like, so it carries 7 now. So 5 sword bros and 2 characters, or just 5 assault intercessors in a character, whatever. It defends itself because it can be the unit within 12 inches of itself and give itself 4 rerolls. Yeah. And I do think this is going to be problematic, because as it sits right now, this thing overwatches with 4 rerolls. Because each time a model makes a ranged attack, because it was not in the shooting phase. So you overwatch with 4 rerolls if they're within 12 inches.
That's
Did
pretty
you
good.
notice that?
No,
Pretty good.
yes, for sure. I think still Overwatch is going to be a bit of a trap, but it means when
Yeah.
Overwatch is good, you're very reliable at it, right? Like your opponent
yeah.
rolls up to you with 5 dudes that need killing, right? 5 warp spiders or something.
Just
You
flip
can
an
blow
objective,
them
and you're just like, yeah, this guy will dunk 5 wolf spiders. He's not going to pop a transport in Overwatch unless you're very lucky and desperate. But oh my god, the
not
threat.
even that crazy. If they don't have an invuln, they don't get a save on the main laser or the
Yeah.
multi-melta. So if the transport is like at half strength, right? All you need is 1 hit,
One.
the multi-melta or the laser with full rerolls to hit, and then you just wound, CP reroll the wound if necessary, and just kill the transport. Like
Yep.
you absolutely could kill a Rhino on Overwatch with this. You just need out of the 4 shots with rerolls, out of those 8 dice, you need 2 hits basically.
2 hits. Yeah. All right. If you had to tell me one, if Jack had asked me, said, Adam, sugar, baby, honey, if there's one model that you think G-Dub is going to buff the crap out of in the Black Templars book, what would it be? I would have said Land Raider Crusader.
Of
Because
course, it's Land Raider Crusader.
It's the dumbest, weakest, crappest Land Raider, and
It's
unfortunately has
the
been.
Land Raider. Oh my god.
It's our Land Raider. It's ours. Why is it not good?
No, our Land Raider is the Redeemer. Okay, I know that
exactly
technically
right.
it's the Crusader, but even so, it is still the Redeemer.
Yeah, this guy sucks. His range profiles haven't changed. I was so praying they would do something to make the Hurricane Bolter like good, like give it an AP or something. You can still, of course, like all Land Raiders, it's got the assault ramp. You can advance it, you can charge out of it after it's moved. In the shooting phase, after this model is shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. The units disembarked from the transport this turn will get reroll once to hit and once to wound against that one of those targets. Not enough by half.
It's a 220 point transport. I'm not taking it to buff a unit to reroll ones to hit and wound. That is such a waste. If it's 220 points, you'll never guess what unit I'm going to take instead.
Does it start with Re and end with Pex? Yeah, it does.
Oh, yes. Yes, for sure. And people are going to get shot. Now, you can kind of make the Crusader work in the Gladius. You roll up with the Hurricane Bolters to get +1 AP, it ignores cover. But if you're doing that, you're taking a Repulsor Executioner that also has a laser cannon.
Yeah, aim higher, aim higher. This is my issue, right, with the Repulsor chassis in their entirety versus the Crusader. They have more relevant DACA versus infantry. They have more anti-infantry killing firepower and more anti-tank and anti-mech, like anti-Terminator, all on the same chassis. This guy doesn't even kill infantry well.
Yeah, if you're going to take a Land Raider, you're going to take... I mean, you'll take a regular Land Raider before you take this guy.
Correct.
And then
you'll take,
before you take a regular Land Raider who is trash, you will take a Redeemer who is all right. A little expensive, but
a little expensive. But which is fair enough. The Redeemer has been, hit with the points hammer many times this edition. But the Repex just overshadows the crap out of all. And that brings us to the end of the data sheets, my man. So now we've got everything tallied up, everything taken into account. Time for rankings and ratings. And yes, we have to do this on just the contents of this book. As a Black Templars aficionado, my man, same as me, how happy are you with the contents of this book out of 10?
How happy am I with the contents of this book out of 10? Oh, that's a tough one, because I don't get to rank the Gladius, unfortunately.
No, you don't. We're going to talk about that in part 2.
The book itself, like a 4. Uh, Not because I think that what you'll finally put on the table is bad. I don't think the army, once you make 2,000 points, will be a 4 out of 10. I just think that half of the data sheets and all of the detachments in this army are complete buns. They are just very bad, right?
Mhm.
You have some good, no good detachments. All the detachments are bad. Um,
Correct.
and also our Grotmus detachment is not very good. Our army rule, 3 of the 4 rules are very, very bad, and one of them is quite good. So you will take that one. Our data sheets, all of our detachments are bad. So you're not going to take them. You'll take the Gladius, you'll take the Stormlance, you'll take the Firestorm, something in there.
Mhm.
And then half of the data sheets are just very bad, and you're not going to take those. You will take, Sword Brethren and Repulsor Executioners, and the Army rule opens up a couple things to being better, like Jump Pack Intercessors or Blade Guard are pretty solid with the new thing. And then all of our characters are really good, with one exception. The Ancient's kind of bad, but that's fine. It just feels like half the data sheets are very bad, all of the detachments are very bad. 3/4 of the army rule is very bad. And it means that what you're going to field is good, but your options are kind of limited.
Yeah. I am super disappointed with this codex. Like I said, I think between Jack and myself, we have agreed that there are good Black Templar armies, and Black Templars will still do just fine. But similar to Dark Angels, when their codex came out on release, it was abominable. And I think this is in a similar state. Some good data sheets, horrific detachments, and an army rule that is essentially just one option. It feels very shallow, and yeah, pretty rough, guys, pretty rough. As far as and then our last thing we'll do before we check out, because we are pretty long in the tooth. How strong do you think the strongest Black Templars armies will be in the tier list, the competitive tier list? So from S tier all the way down to D tier.
I think you'll make a pretty good Black Templars list. I think you can make one that cracks that's in A tier. It's definitely not
Yeah,
going to be
me
like
too.
S tier or anything, but like I
Yeah,
think you can make a pretty damn good Gladius list out of it. The
me
problem is
too.
you're making no other archetype out of Black
Yes.
Templars, I think.
It's sword bros, utility units, and repexes, as far as I can tell. And we're going to go unpack that over on part 2 because I entirely agree. I think the best list, funnily enough, not too dissimilar to the pre-Iron Priest nerf Space Wolves, where they went into like being like, well, we just take a couple of battle tanks. And that'll carry us, and then just some MSU good stuff and some nice bits and pieces. And looks like we're gonna be in a pretty similar place. But on that note, we are out of here. Hopefully, you'll join us over on part 2, where we're going to unpack a couple of lists. I am keeping the part 2s on the shorter side because I'm trying to put away like literally 5 episodes in the bank before I head overseas. You may be hearing this one the week of pre-order, or it'll be the week after pre-order. I don't know which I'm putting out, the Grey Knights or the Black Templars. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed this episode and our beautiful time with the lovely Jack and his Jack Templars. Is that what I call them?
The Jack Templars, of course.
Yeah, the Jack Templars, baby. But on that note, we're out of here. Jack, anything you'd like to plug or say before we check out?
We also have a longer form review up on our channel, where we go over all of the rules again, but this time with Richard instead of Adam. I've been talking a lot of Black Templars. So if you need something else to put on while you listen, you can put that on, get every single piece of Black Templars covered.
Yeah, slap it in there. And I assume there's going to be some games in the war room with your lovely self soon.
Absolutely. There is a game right now in the war room between Black Templars and Grey Knights. I try out the Companions of Vehemence. I'm pleasantly surprised by some parts of it, but I've already mentioned those parts. Generally,
Yeah.
it's Blood Surge and like the rerolls, advances, and charges were pretty solid. But if you want to see how new Black Templars plays, definitely go ahead and check that out. In addition, coming up, there's going to be several Black Templar games in the war room and on the YouTube channel. You can go ahead and check out.
Beautiful. On that note, we are done. I love you all. Take care. See you on the other side. And hopefully, you're about to enjoy or have enjoyed some WTC goodness. Love you very much, Jack. Thank you very much again for coming on, and look after each other.
Thank you for having me, Adam. This is always fun.